If by some chance this is the first video of mine you're seeing, you may want to try a different one first instead. Um, I'm going to be focused more on getting my plaguebearers assembled today than having like every second of the video be filled up with words, because I'd like to divide my focus a bit more, because honestly I just want to get into priming these. So you may want to check out a different one or skip it if that isn't your thing. This is going to be uh, a bit slower paced, just sort of some background noise. If that's not your thing, I totally understand. Okay, so I'm going to get into this. I'm just going to be gluing some torsos on, and let's talk about built-in downtime in video games. Why not, right? Um, suiting. So, what I mean by that is like fishing mini games is a big one. Player housing and decorating, trophies, cosmetic farming, NPC like relationship simulators, randomly generated adventuring, like procedurally generated caves, or like exploration, just um just where it's not like a curated, fast-paced combat experience, but it's still part of the greater game world, right? And I'm gonna kind of get into like my feelings on it, times where I thought it was done well, and times where I didn't care for it, and ultimately I want to hear your thoughts on it too. But so the big one for me, um, is is like probably fishing. I don't know. Player housing kind of comes close, but unfortunately, I've seen it done badly more than I've seen it done well in games. So I don't have good things to say about it, and it's a feature that I would have liked. So that's a little unfortunate. Okay, got him glued, and no, oh, there you are. Now I'm gonna smooth out the seam a little before I put his arm on. All right. Yeah, there we go. I like to go over the glue seam with like a little bit of extra plastic glue because it kind of melts it uh, to hide the seam a little better, and then just kind of smash it a little bit and file it. But like this little guy is so small, it's not going to make much of a difference, but the seams can look really bad on the bigger ones. So I don't know, try to clean them up a little bit. Okay, so I think I'm gonna glue the torsos on first, and then go back and do the arms instead of doing one piece start to finish. I don't know. I so there's a need for fishing, especially like in a bigger, longer paced like game like an MMO, or like a really long going open world game. Not everybody engages with it. I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea, but the main reason is to break the tension of constant combat. And I understand like there's been a big move away from this with like Souls likes, right? Where it's just combat on combat on combat. But to that I kind of want to bring up, I mean, like there's other reasons for it obviously, but the um a lot more people have played Elden Ring that still has like, some like it still has the combat of a Souls like, but it has a lot more built-in downtime. Like you know, the there's like more of an open world instead of just like a narrow monster hallway, like between bosses, the way some of the earlier games are. So, I mean, even like the counter to what I'm talking about still kind of has like a little bit of downtime built in. If I had planned this better, I would have looked up. There's actually like a Japanese word like for basically like taking a break and going for a walk, right? The quiet moments in game. Because because they have like some like really like great words that encompass like feelings and concepts that like there just isn't an English word for. Like wabi sabi is one that I really like. The idea of accepting imperfection as part of the beauty of something, right? Specifically like imperfect pottery is like a big one with that. But even like with people, accepting that like people, people's flaws are a part of them. It can make them like seem even more beautiful sometimes, there's like a like Padma Lakshmi, right? Like she's like a model. She hosted some like cooking competition like a while back, right? It's not really like I mean, you're either familiar with her or you're not. That's not really the point. But so she's like an absolutely beautiful woman, right? But she was in a car accident and she has like some scarring on her arms from it, which that sucks. But when uh, when she was like a model, there was a photographer, and I could be wrong about which because I don't, you know, I don't really remember this very well, but I think it was Helmet Lang. But He highlighted her scars instead of trying to hide them or Photoshop them out or anything. Like, instead of treating them as a flaw, he treated them as a part of what made her beautiful, and they sort of do. I'm not saying that people should go out and mutilate themselves, but I'm saying that, like, if you just happen to have something about you that isn't perfect or ideal, like embracing it can actually, you know, make you sort of appreciate yourself as a whole a bit more. Um, so yeah, like I don't know, I just they have words for a lot of stuff. Yeah, I guess like a lot of languages do. In in German, there's like a word that I'm gonna probably say wrong, but like Schadenfreude. I'm probably saying it wrong. But it's the opposite of empathy, right? It's being like amused or finding joy like in other people's misfortune. Like and yeah, like in English like we have the word empathy, but we don't really have a word for the opposite of that, and sometimes I wish we did because I'd like to be able to use it, but yeah, I've lost what I was even saying. Oh, the quiet moments, right? There's actually some games that used to be, action combat and would literally have walking simulator parts of it where like they would just physically slow down your character and just give your brain some time to rest, process everything, refresh and prepare for the next like intense battle or really long drawn out cutscene or whatever it was that they were trying to distance you from. And a lot of people find those parts of games boring because if people, especially people that play a lot of video games, our brains kind of get hijacked, like hardwired, like the wiring changes or something, where we just want to be so efficient, and sometimes it can be like almost irritating to have like our efficiency when things stand in the way of it. It's a big reason that people get so impatient with games, especially like when especially people that get like a bit. I don't know. I wanna just say older, but, like, people that end up with more responsibilities in general. I mean, like, maybe somebody with, like, a heavy, load in college or, people that, I don't know, like, have a family, or people that, I don't know, people that you start working full time after like only working part time previously, right? Like just different things will change in your life where you don't have as much time for your hobbies anymore and you start to value your time in a very different way. And, things that you used to have the luxury of time to enjoy, you start to get really frustrated with, like, there's a lot of games that started out with inconveniences built in as, just a intended quiet moment, a chance to socialize, that sort of thing, and they've since been kind of removed because, like, the audience in general, is kind of, like, shying away from that, and, I've kind of touched on this briefly before, when I was talking about, Star Wars Galaxies, the way that, they had, okay, I thought I had an extra torso, I was wondering what was going on. Um, in Star Wars Galaxies, they had this spaceport where you had to buy a ticket and wait in game for several minutes for the ship to arrive. They was just gonna teleport you anyway, right? So it was an arbitrary wait, but you couldn't get too far away or you'd miss it because it left at a very specific time. It wasn't 15 minutes from when you got the ticket. It was like up to 15 minutes, arriving at a random time. But yeah, that created a moment where people, just needed to stand around and could, rest their brain, check their inventory, talk to other people, do something to just pass the time. Um, and, that's important. It's, um, it's probably really annoying when it's forced upon you, but it is important to have a chance to just be alone with your thoughts, to rest, to like reduce the intensity back down so that you can like recover and build it back up when you go back to some like high stress, fast paced um, gameplay, right? Like be it combat or whatever. Um, and you know, I can't really argue for putting stuff like that back in, right? Because it was obviously removed for a reason. Like people just universally didn't like it. Most games that previously had um like flight pass or boat pass or horse pass or whatever, a lot of them have since removed them and added in like teleports in their place, right? Like in Final Fantasy 14, I think. There is a boat that goes from Limsa Limosa to I don't remember the little like town name. The Shifting Sands or Prey Return to. I want to say, but yeah, there's a boat that brings you right to it, and like the ticket's kind of cheap. It's way cheaper than like teleporting there or whatever. But you have to watch a cutscene, ride the boat for several minutes, and then the same with like taking the airships, right? Like that you can just pay more and teleport instead of taking them, but but they're still available, right? Or you need them the first time or whatever. Um, those are just sort of relics of a time when that was in games. And like I think in like I don't know, in Warcraft they have some of the boats that still work, but a lot of them have just been replaced with a portal that will just instantly take you there. And I don't think it's because they don't work anymore. I just think that they took them out because they'd rather have people running mythics than waiting around for the boat. And again, like I can't I can't argue with the audience of people that wanted it that way, but I can, I'm just kind of talking about um why I feel like it was in there to begin with, if that makes sense. Um, so, oh, there we go. So you do need some time between things. Um, and I think what ended up happening, like this is kind of like a Warcraft with its mythic dungeons, right? Is that they've gone completely in the other direction. And like maybe some people prefer this and like and give me a second and I'll get there. But basically they're timed, right? So it's your goal to get through it as fast as you possibly can. So it's just chain pulling, right? Because you get like reduced rewards if you take too long. You have a chance of like losing your key entirely and having to like do more to get back up to the point or something. And it it really is the opposite of like the slower, more intentionally paced breaks, right? And there's definitely people that like it, and there's a lot of people that came from a time when that just wasn't how it works that don't. And you know, and I honestly have to wonder, like the people that do like it, because I don't, right? Um, and it's fine. Not everything's for me, right? That's not the point. I'm not arguing. I'm not asking for it to be taken out. I'm just stating that I don't like it. If that makes sense. Um, I wonder people that do enjoy it, do they build in their own downtime in between, or do they just go like for just completely intense for like as long as they're gonna play, and then just go off and like just stare at a blank wall or just collapse into a recliner or something like afterwards, because it just feels exhausting to me to not have any built-in downtime. Like I didn't let's I would like mana regeneration, right? There's, in a lot of games, your healers or like your casters or something need to like sit and drink water or eat food or whatever to regenerate mana. Whereas your tank or your rogue types, I don't know if rogues keep energy. I don't play a lot of rogue types, so I don't know how they work as well. But like your tank will like lose rage and have to build it back up if they have too much downtime. So like the tank class would prefer to chain pull if possible, right? Whereas the healer like used to need to sit for like quite a while. I mean, like a long time ago, you'd have to sit for like several minutes every couple of minutes, like a minute or two every couple of minutes, right? Like and again, that was just built-in downtime. Because you needed multiple different classes to have like a party, so you couldn't really like run a dungeon without somebody that needed mana regeneration. People kind of figured out a way. I think there would be like stealth runs with like some rogues and a druid or something, where, the druid wasn't as mana reliant as some of the other healer types, but, still to some extent. But I mean, mostly it was built into the game. Um, just a little bit of forced downtime, and you know, it's kind of been phased out where like you just find a way to keep going, right? Like, there's chain pulls, and if you have, if you need to regenerate mana, then it's a build problem on your end. It's not, it's something that you need to deal with as a player. It's not something that is just an accepted part of the game anymore. And sometimes I think small changes like that have kind of led to they're being less. I don't know a good word. They're being like more impatience, more hostility between players when game systems change and the responsibility to work around find a suitable workaround to them is kind of shifted onto the player. If that makes any sense. Like if uh if you're running with somebody that still needs to regenerate their mana, then you're upset with them for wasting your time. Like maybe that's maybe that's not true in every case, but I'm saying like hypothetically, right? Um, but yeah, I wonder like what what sort of like replacement games that have gotten rid of these systems have put in its place, right? Because I'm just not seeing it myself, and I'm wondering if that's part of their problem. Because like there's definitely people that still play, but there's a lot of people that just like I don't know, just feel tired and put off by the game. Um, and you know, just don't enjoy themselves anymore. And I think the lack of the forced downtime, the forced mental break has a lot to do with that. I have wondered if like so the forced like um downtime has like inadvertently led to hostility amongst like strangers in MMOs. Like if you're playing with like a pickup group and you don't know people very well, so you're not going to naturally like just stop and have a conversation with them the way that you would if you knew them, or the way that like people used to some extent. I mean, like, you don't mesh with everybody. You're not like not everybody is the sort of person that like makes a conversation in an elevator. Some people like would prefer to uh to just wait in silence, right? Like so, you never know who you're going to be paired up with. You don't know if they're going to be like a good player or not, or talkative if that's a good thing, or talkative if that's a bad thing, right? So that's sort of I can understand a reason that they've removed a lot of the forced waiting time, right? Like because honestly, like it just feels like nobody wants to be there, right? Like the people if they could just push the just give me the rewards button instead of doing the content, then they probably would, which means that like I I'm not saying this to be harsh, but that feels like a failing on the part of the developer, that the gameplay itself isn't the incentive, that only the reward from the gameplay is, right? Because that's my biggest problem with some games that I used to enjoy, that it felt more like I was going through some tedious task for the sake of a reward that I didn't even want or care about, but it was a bigger number and it was going to be replaced in short order, and I'd have to do more tedious content I didn't care about to get it. And then what's even the point of playing, right? Like, again, a bit harsh, but it's kind of like what makes me like fall off of games sometimes, because I I have always been a enjoy the journey sort of person, and when I'm in games where it feels way more goal oriented, way more I mean, I'm not saying there's something wrong with being fast paced or like having intense moments, right? I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that there's something equally off putting um about games that are very like just unrelenting, as there must be for people that don't enjoy a slower pace. I like the people that don't consider like walking sim kind of games at all, right? Where other people understand uh late games as like a broader concept, like as a pastime, right? Like a recreational activity, and not necessarily like a challenge or um a way of proving their mettle. the way that, some people do treat games, right? Because not everybody plays them for the same reason, and that's why there's so many different kinds, right? Um, so, you know, um, like, I'm not the biggest fan of walking sims, but I've played a couple because I was interested in the story in them, and, it really depends on my mood personally, what I feel up to playing, because sometimes, I do want minute to minute, like, smash a giant mob, like, send a giant horde towards me and let me go down shooting, like, that's how I feel sometimes, right? Like, that's the kind of gameplay that I'm looking for. But I typically will just load up a game that does that well and play that instead of looking for it in within a different kind of game entirely. Which is why, like, I'd rather play a level of Doom than to run a mythic in Warcraft, right? Or to do any sort of timed group content because I'm at the mercy of the other players. And if I'm looking for like something fast paced, I'd rather it be a personal challenge anyway. Like I have enjoyed things like in Elder Scrolls Online, where there's like the little Thieves Guild trials or like stuff like that where it's timed but it's a personal time challenge. It's not timed with a group because it just feels like you catch stray hostility when you waste other people's time and that doesn't really build a good community. You know, I don't know. Like again, this is just my thoughts on it. Like I'm not I can't speak for a greater whole or each individual person's feelings on it. I'm just saying like in broader terms, it's kind of how I feel about it. And I could be totally wrong. That's totally fine. But but no, I just feel like there was a need for systems that were removed with no replacement. And like even I don't know if I even talked about fishing games earlier because again, like I'm I'm just rambling while I'm doing this, so I apologize. This is way less structured than I would have liked it to be, but I just wanted to try this format out for a little bit and see how it goes. Um, I'm sure not well. So, um, fishing mini games, right? They used to be pretty simple. Like you had your pole, you stuck it in the water in the fish hole. Like there was like just the little like whirlpool decal or something, right? It's like, okay, put the pole into the fish hole and wait and then push the receive fish button, right? Very, very simple concept. Um, and then some of them started being like rhythm based or like DDR, or it's like, all right, hurry up and wait and click the button when it's fishing time. Come on, come on, come on, fish, right? Oh, no, 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 you missed it. Come on, come on, fish, right? Like, and it's just, it's really intense. And it's like, why did they put this in? Right? Like, did the person who designed this game not understand why fishing was in previous games? Did somebody like play a bunch of games and go, man, fishing is boring. I bet I could fix it. Right? Like, the point of fishing being like a boring, monotonous task was to give people something to do within the game world that gave them like a mental break from the more intense stuff. So having an intense fish game, like, what are we doing here, right? um and again, like if you are a person that enjoys playing fishing DDR, I'm not saying you're wrong in this feeling. I'm just saying that I feel like over complicated fishing mini games are missing the reason that they were originally included in games. Um I don't know. All right. I've got the torsos on. I'm gonna do some arms and some heads. I think I'm gonna get the heads loose or get the heads ready, but I'm gonna probably put the arms on first. I've got all of these little little critters mixed up with the arms because I needed to clean off my desk, and I put everything in a box in a big mess. So it's not, this is not at all how it was meant to be. I I normally would methodically cut it off piece by piece and assemble them one by one, but that's not what I did this time. So now I'm living with the consequences of my decision. So, there's an entire genre of like classic casual games or cozy games, right? Like Stardew Valley was like a big one coming into this. There's My Time at Portia and My Time at Sandrock is like kind of the successor to that one. There's I don't know. There's quite a few of them. Those are the ones that come to mind right away. Um they they have like farming mini games, which I feel like farming is really similar to fishing. I liked farming and crafting in Lord of the Rings Online. There's kind of a back and forth about whether or not farming mini games should make you water the plants, like whether or not that extra step is necessary. Um, or have some sort of decay system, right? I think this is all of them. Okay. There's like this bag of skulls. I don't know if it's going to show up. Uh, and it's got a hand attached to it. And I accidentally clipped part of the hand because like when I was clipping off the sprue, I didn't realize that it was a hand. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of surgery to get him to clutch his bag of heads. Since I cut part of his fingers off. I don't know. Yeah, I'm working on a system to have a better close up than I've got right now. But these things take time because I am not an experienced videographer. I'm just a idiot in my room filming myself chattering. So, like, I'm learning how to do any of this as I go. But I'll get there. So let me see. So games that I that I enjoyed the fishing in. Oh no, I don't want to. I don't. I'll talk about fishing a little bit more, and then I'll get into farming. Why not? I'm gonna try to structure this a little bit better after I've already done it wrong. Okay, so games that I've liked fishing in. Final Fantasy 14. I really like ocean fishing. I thought that was a really cool concept. It's I like the way that they addressed complexity within the fishing system because a lot of people engage in it. And I'm gonna do crafting and farming separate from fishing, um, because they have different weather and environmental conditions and locations that come into play with catching a fish and what kind of bait you use and that sort of thing. And I think that that is a nice immersive way to handle having it be a bit more complicated without sort of changing the vibe of what sort of activity it was meant to be. So you still put your rod in and click the receive fish button, right? Um, you know, uh, New World, right? Um, their fishing's okay. But basically you put your line in, you click the hey, there's a fish button, right? But then you need to um carefully reel it in, and there's a chance the line could snap. Like you can lose the fish you've already caught. And so they decided to put the mini game at the end instead of at the beginning. Like where in some games you have to play a rhythm game to even catch the fish, and then you can just loot it. And that one, you get the fish right away, but you can lose it at any time. Um, I don't know. I don't really care for it. Um, I don't think there needs to be um the necessary like extra steps in it, because it's meant to be like a monotonous activity. Like what I really like to do when I'm fishing is like have, a show on in the other monitor, or listen to music and just completely zone out, because it's almost like meditative to me, to do like really monotonous tasks, redo starting areas, or like really easy content in games, because it gives me some mental peace. It gives me time to be alone with my thoughts, but I appear to be doing something, right? Because I don't know. I'm not very good at like completely sitting and staring at a blank wall. I need to have like some sort of task that I'm doing, but I like it to be fairly turn your brain off, sort of level of difficulty, in between and doing more complicated things. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of overly designed fishing games. So that's why, you know, um, I liked Lord of the Rings Online. It's very old. Like, the game came out 17 years ago. I still can't even imagine that. And it was a very simple, um, put the line into the fish hole, collect the fish, that sort of thing. There was a little bit of tug of war, getting it, but that could be overcome by having a higher fishing level pole, or a higher level of fishing. It took a really, really, really long time to level your fishing, because they time gated how far you could progress every day, and you I don't know. I don't even remember how long it took to level it. I have some characters I never even finished leveling it on, because it was like, a little discouraging that you could only get 8 points of fishing a day or something. I don't remember if it was like eight, but I mean, like out of like hundreds of points, it was very, very limited. Um, I don't remember what I was saying, so I'm just gonna glue on some arms while I'm thinking about it. So, oh, there we go. Hey. Okay. Ooh, this is like a yeah, that's probably right. So, farming. I pulled the little glue needle out of the bottle. All right. Oh, I need to clean it. Now I'm just narrating. I apologize. Um, should crops decay in farming games? Should you need to water them? So the argument against it is, if you need to come back and babysit something at your player house, then that is a nagging feeling when you're off adventuring, that pulls you away from it. Like in games that have player housing, right? It should be a place that you kind of want to go to for either like some respite, or at the end of adventuring. And it shouldn't be something that you feel like you need to do, or you're going to miss out, or lose progress, or lose materials, or that sort of thing. So, um, me personally, I've never been a fan of crop decay, um, or the over reliance of babysitting it. It's like, if you don't come back and click the water button in exactly 20 minutes, then the plant will not have enough water and will wither, and you'll lose your materials. Like, I just don't like that at all. Um, but um, but the game I did like farming in a lot was Lord of the Rings Online, because there was something um I don't know, there's something so relaxing about it. Um, I have a couple of characters because of the way that they're crafting system worked, that were farmers. Um, so I went through it a couple of times. But you plant the seeds, and then you wait, and you gather them one by one, and then you go over and you sort um between new seeds to plant again, and plants, and you just sort of, you can like leave your character AFK for this, and they just sort of pick at it, and it's a very repetitive sound, and it's, I don't know, it's a good moment to still be playing the game, but to be off doing something else. And I kind of like having my character seeming like they're doing something when I idle, like, you know, if I don't know, go down and make some tea or something while my character's sorting seeds. It appeals to the, like, you've got to be efficient at all time part of my brain, that I wish would be more quiet sometimes. But yeah, I liked that. I remember at some point they added in like Shire apples. And there was something very, very silly, but weirdly satisfying about growing this little like tree. Like you would just grow 5 trees, because again, you could plant a single crop at a time, or you could be hyper efficient about it, and you could rotate your character model slightly and grow up to 5 in a fan shape, because you could only loot 5 before they started despawning, because the plants only stayed for a limited amount of time. And I would try to plant up to 5 at once. And I don't like now that I would do that, but that's just that's just how I felt like I had to play then. Like, even though I was doing this, like, you know, nice relaxing sort of content, I still had the hyper efficiency mindset, like, while doing it. And I don't know. It's something that I've really wanted to get away from. Like, I there's a lot of um of game systems, especially like the ones that have forced downtime, that I can only appreciate now. But I remember being rather annoyed by their existence at the time. Like, why is this here? Why are you making me wait? Why are you making me do this? Like, I don't want to play this mini game. I want to play a different one, you know? Like, I I don't know. I sort of feel bad for game designers, because basically any choice they make at all is going to upset somebody. It may make some people happy, it may upset other people, and it feels like they're just trying to upset the least amount of people possible with every game decision they make. You know, like, I think that's part of the reason that so much is like standardized, because they're like, okay, well, I would really like to reinvent the wheel. I'd really like to make some creative choices here, but I'm worried that if I do something out of the box, then I'm going to end up upsetting more people than I normally do when I make different choices. But I don't know if it works that way or not. So I was talking about Shire apples. So I'll just get into crafting like a little bit. I used to really enjoy crafting in games. I was gonna do like the thing, like, some of these, they have an arm without a hand, so that you can choose what he's holding. And I wanted to glue at least one of those on. Because there's, yeah, like, he's either gonna hold one of these little skulls, or this little fetish thing. Um, because I've got this banner left, but this guy with like the little, I think it was a choice between the two, and I went for this one instead of the banner. Um, so, but yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have him hold this, but I don't know where his hand is, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, I don't remember where I was. So crafting. Um, I've always liked crafting in MMOs. Um, well, like I like it in single player games that have it, but I feel like a lot of times, it's just sort of in there. Like it doesn't really, it's not done in a way that it makes sense or feels worth doing, even as somebody that likes it. A lot of the times, as you're leveling up crafting, oh, oh, I just knocked a piece of my lap. All right, all right. I've got some spare arms. I think it'll be fine. Um, as you're leveling up in a game, and it goes on this side. Oh, this is like the big ass sword. Okay. All right. Is he gonna hold it in the air? Yeah, he's gonna like hold the big one up in the air. Okay. Um, as you're leveling up, in like an MMO, we'll say, a lot of the times the mid-level crafting, sometimes like the really really low level stuff, it'll be worth doing, especially if it's easy enough to get the extra special can make the item better items. But a lot of times, like mid-level, it's never ever going to be worth the time it takes to make them. So what a lot of people end up doing is skipping crafting entirely until they're max level and then just grinding it all out one day. Um, because it's easier to just be higher level, have more in-game currency, and just buy whatever you need to make the stuff, and then just trash it or like throw it on the auction really cheap or something because like the items don't even matter. It's for the point system, and it feels like more often than not that's how it ends up working in games. And it makes you wonder, like, why is there even a crafting system? Like, if a lot of people either use it just for when they first start out, or if they just use it for only the highest level items and everything else is seen as like just this big inconvenience until you get to the point where you can make the thing you actually want to make. So, Lord of the Rings Online has a really complicated cooking system, and I think it's been simplified a time or two. Like if not the whole system had an overhaul, the higher level items that you can craft in later expansions were way less complicated and required less ingredients than previous ones. Guild Wars 2 has a similarly complicated food like cooking profession, but it works a little bit differently in that one, in that you don't have a recipe book. You don't learn recipes from your trainer. You have an experimental panel where you have to combine different food items to discover recipes. And that's a cool system, but um sometimes I look it up if I can't figure out what the next like what the last ingredient I need or something is, or if I'm stuck on like a tier of it and I really just want to I really just want to make the next thing, then I'll end up looking it up and defeating the purpose of discovery, right? The joy of discovery, the, for the sake of efficiency. Okay, I got this. I'm gonna do this arm. Um, but yeah, I liked Lord of the Rings original system because you would if you wanted to make a pie, you would go to a farm, grow some wheat, and there were different kinds of wheat, and then you would like then you would turn the wheat into flour, and then you would combine the flour with like eggs or butter or whatever, and make it into like a sub ingredient, like a pie crust, or like I don't know. In Guild Wars, you'd make it into like a pasta, or or something else as like a base ingredient. And then you would, like I'll just compare the two back and forth. Like, in Guild Wars, like you make the wheat into a pasta, and then you make like some vegetables into a pasta sauce, and then you combine them with like different types of meat to make different like finished dishes, right? And then I think there was even like herbs that you could add as like toppings to make slightly different variations of it. And it was a it was very, very complicated, and there was lots of like food items that the materials um to discover how to make them were considerably more valuable than the finished dishes ever were, because everybody was just trying to level their crafting, and nobody actually wanted the dishes that you could make. Like the food buffs weren't that great. They were kind of standardized. So it didn't even matter, like what you ate, because everybody would ultimately just want the same buff, right? Just a second. And I like the complexity that the systems had, but I completely understand, especially like combined with like inventory management, why a lot of people preferred them to be simplified. Um, I can't remember if I ever got into why I liked Final Fantasy's fishing. I really liked their ocean fishing system. It goes against most of what I've said because, I typically like things are more nuanced, and there's not like any one right answer. There's just the, prevailing opinion, or the decision that people go with, right? Um, I thought it was cool. Once once every hour, there's a boat that basically forms a raid with like other people who are fishing, and you go on, and you're all individually trying to catch fish, but you work together. Um, there's like events that can occur based on the success of people who are there. So everybody wants everybody to do well, because like the whole expedition, the whole boat goes better if more people are doing well. But in general, uh, the community is fairly welcoming to new players that aren't very good at it. Because even though they may ruin that, well, not ruin, they may make that one fishing expedition suboptimal, right? They have more people who are interested in the future, so that their future expeditions are always full of players. So that's something I can appreciate about that community, um, versus some other games, because a lot of the players, at least as far as what they say in game, I've seen people say that they're toxically nice, or they're afraid of getting their account banned, and they're really grumpy and don't like people or whatever. But I don't know how much truth there is to that. Like in my own experience, any random person that has talked to me in that game has, for the most part, like been just genuinely nice, just genuinely. They noticed I was a new player, and they were trying to help me out, or they saw me doing something kind of weird and was like trying to point me in the right direction, and I appreciate that. I I am a person that will stubbornly wander where I'm not meant to be, and and try to figure out how to do stuff without finding out like the absolute best way to do it. When I would get to new expansion areas, I would just be wandering around trying to see what I can see, and people are like, "Go back and do the story." Like, stop trying to be here. You're not supposed to be here yet." And I was like, "I want to see what's there." Like, I want to, I don't want to just look at a hill. I want to know what's behind the hill. Like, I want to know, like, I'm never like satisfied with what my eyes can see. I want to see what's beyond. Like, I don't want to stop till I hit the edges of a map, like that sort of thing. Um, so I've always preferred more open world games because it's a little disappointing when you're like, "Hey, go through this monster hall to the elevator to the boss and then come back and tell me how it went." Of course it went well. It was you were designed to defeat the boss. Like it was designed to lose to you. But I'll, in game dialogue, I'll act surprised that it went well, even though, like, you know, I'm sorry. But no, I generally will look like I don't know what I'm doing in games until the point where I know everything that I could possibly know about them, and that's the point when I still don't look like I know what I'm doing because I'm doing stuff in a like neurotically efficient way at that point. So there's no winning. Um, like I've had people ask me just send me a whisper in a game that I've played for a very long time, like what are you doing? And it's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Hey, do you need something? Like, um, but yeah, I I don't know. I think a lot of people make their own fun, and I've always been a person that like uh, I just prefer like exploring things as my way of fun. I don't know. I almost feel like fighting the monsters or gearing up is like getting in the way of what I would like to be doing. If that makes any sense. Like in a lot of games, I don't like level scaling because I like to overgear or over level and then come back and just trounce everything so that I can freely explore without being bogged down by a challenge, without having any game left in my game. And I apologize if saying that upsets you because I understand it's just as upsetting for me that other people played it in games differently, but like there's more than one kind of person in the world. But yeah, I I really like seeing what else there is to it and understanding, how things work. I really love games that I can mod. Like just to get completely off topic, I apologize, but I don't know. I'm just talking today. I really like games that I can mod, like not just because you can have a more tailored gameplay experience, but because I like taking the mod kits, especially like in the Bethesda game where it's really like it's really robust. It's like quite nearly they quite nearly hand over the engine to you. You can do oh I squished this into the bottle. There we go. You can do quite a bit um in the creation kit. Um more way more so than you can in some games where you just have to kind of uh like there's some games like Dragon's Age, right, where they really would prefer you didn't mod it at all. So you have to combine all of your mods and with a patch to the game and just sort of stick them in, and it doesn't work very well. And the Frostbite engine, especially like for the later games, there's no modding support, and the people that still manage to find a way to mod are absolute superheroes. And I I I never tell you personally, but I appreciate you like so much because it's it's really hard for me to go back and play games that you can't mod after understanding that that's a possibility because I really like I really like, being able to just tailor my own annoyances or preferences into games. I like games where it's an option. I understand it can't be in everyone. I don't know. I feel kind of the same way about settings or like keybinds, right? Like that it's a lot of extra work, right? Um but it it opens the door for like a better player experience, right? And more replayability. And I understand, just for the sake of I've created this art and I want people to appreciate it as is. And I'm just trying to I'm just trying to sell the box. I'm just trying to pay my mortgage. I'm not worried about somebody playing my game for 1,000 hours. It would be flattering if they did, but that's not really my goal here. I can understand that completely. Um, but on the converse, like, I wonder if it feels good to people that worked on, like, Skyrim, that, more people are still playing Skyrim to this day than, like, Starfield, right? Or, like, some other, like, popular games. I mean, like, there'll be, like, 20,000 people playing special edition sometimes. Like, and yeah, that's entirely because of modding. Like, it wouldn't it wouldn't be um nearly as popular as it still is without people like basically playing other games within it at this point. Like, I'm genuinely curious how many people are even playing anything close to Skyrim anymore in Skyrim. Um, but um, but yeah, I mean, like, that's a whole other level. I think a lot of the reason that people were so disappointed with Fallout 4 is because they wanted a new setting to mod, and I don't know why I don't even want to bring up Starfield, but I was one of the people that was like looking forward to Starfield, and I know looking forward to it was my first mistake, but I like modding. I like making mods, and I was looking forward to a new Bethesda title to start fresh, like modding. I was expecting um like, a main story I didn't like, some side quest I did like, a lot of places to explore, and I like a fresh box of crayons for people that wanted to express their creativity like, you know, in the game. But I don't find the game compelling enough to wanna mod it. Like, I didn't with any game that you can mod, I usually do one completely unmodded playthrough of, like, the entire game to see it as intended, and then I go back and I make little changes or sometimes big changes, to enhance, replays, because I feel like it's important to have a good baseline of what a game should be. Like, if you go in and you download 100 mods for a game and then you're not really getting the intended experience. Um, and I think understanding what the intended experience is, even if you don't enjoy every individual decision made in it, is important. Um, so, uh, so yeah. Oh, there's like this big growth on his shoulder that I need to clip off. All I didn't do is get a job getting these last bits because they were kind of at the end of me getting it off the sprue. So let me get his shoulder smoothed down before I glue it on. All right, gonna dry fit it. So I don't remember how I got onto modding. I was I talking about like game design decisions? Oh, I have no idea. I really do just want to put these together today. So I apologize that my rants are all over the place. I'll try to have a more focused video next time. Um so since I can't remember what I was saying, I'm gonna just go back to a subject I'm sure that I just randomly dropped off. Um, I don't feel like a lot of MMOs handle mid levels, like in general, very well. Like, that not as much time is spent on the overworld, like questing areas, not as much care is put into um gear or that sort of thing. Um, it's kind of treated as a slog, and most people see it as a slog, right? Um, and it's like, well, then what's the point, right? If you've got like a starting experience, a tutorial, why not just throw people directly into the end game? If you're just gonna like, treat the mid levels as if they don't exist or they're not important, right? So that's completely true for crafting. Like a lot of the mid-level stuff is just never going to be worth making except to just power level after you've already out-leveled the gear. And I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. Um I wish the pace of leveling in MMOs was slower, and I understand that that's not that's probably not like a popular opinion, but I don't understand the point of like raising an expansion level cap per se, right? If you can like level up in like less than a week, because expansions usually last longer than a year, right? Or around a year. So why even have like a leveling up grind if or even for people to consider it a grind? Like, why doesn't it take, I don't know, a month maybe, um, to get to level cap in an expansion? Like, there was like one SWOTOR expansion, the most recent one that I played actually. There you could level. I can't remember if it was 5 or 10 levels, but you could level in about 45 minutes, right? You you went through the story, and before you were even done with the story, that's it, you're leveled. And it was really off-putting because why do it, right? Like why just show up and invalidate invalidate your gear and then just get tossed out of I don't know. The whole thing felt so lackluster that I wish they had just delayed it. Um I remember getting really like just completely bothered by that one. But yeah, I uh I like MMO crafting. Well, I like crafting in general. I feel like a lot of it's not done well. Like I could probably have a different complaint for each one I've ever played. Like, I feel like in Elder Scrolls Online, um the research takes too long, right? It can take maybe like 6 months of playing the game to unlock high level crafting, and by the time if you if you're a player that wasn't new or came back to it, right? By the time you do it, um, it's it's not worth your time because the older, more established crafters, right? Had already like made quite a lot of money because not everybody could make the stuff at first because of the time commitment, right? So originally there was less people able to do it, and they could charge just a lion's ransom if they wanted, right? And then um no, it's like an arm. Trying to figure out what he's supposed to hold because he's got a hand. I could I could cut his hand off and glue this this hand holding the fetishes to him. I might do that. I'm gonna put him to the side. Because he's got like a fist. He should be holding something, but I can't figure out what. And no, I'm not gonna just read the instructions. Because I would be giving up at this point. No, this one doesn't have a hand at all, so he's gonna, yeah, he's gonna get the bag of heads. Yeah, I'm just going to, I'm just gonna glue his stump and this hand together. I don't remember. And let's see, in lots of games, yeah, the mid-level crafting is just not worth it. In Guild Wars 2, crafting in general is both not worth it and worth it in different ways. So they made some pretty good decisions that had negatives because that's just sort of how it works. You know, you try to fix one problem and you create a new one, or there was a problem a different developer tried to solve that was solved by a solution that like you don't like and that sort of thing. So they made the choice, and I've seen this in other games since, that gathering nodes are unique to the player, not the map. So if there's like a vein of copper, let's say, right, and you want to mine, then every single player on the map can walk up to the vein of copper and receive their own copper. Like it's only exhausted for the player once they use it. You're not competing with other players for the resource, right? Which was good. It was annoying in other games like Warcraft, we'll say, um, to to walk up to a copper vein and it disappear because a bot under the map had mined it before you got to it. Especially if you had to fight your way to it, because the bot under the map didn't have to fight their way to it. So that was, that was a solution to a problem that created a new problem, and the problem it created. Come on. I'm trying to glue the hand holding the bag of heads to his arm, but his arm is coming out of socket while I'm gluing it. So I probably should have done this differently. I'm going to try again to see if I can get it, and then if I can't, I'm going to put him to the side and try to do him after this video. I wanted to try to, yeah, I'm just gonna put him to the side. I wanted to try to get them all done, and I've got like 4 more arms. This is super long. Like I don't know if you're still listening at this point. Thank you. I apologize for how all over the place this has been. I don't know. I was going back and forth between not doing a video at all, since I didn't have um it like thought out, um because this is probably not great to listen to. So yeah, I went back and forth between not doing it all and just doing this off screen, or just doing this imperfect version of it where I'm just ranting and I don't know. Hoping that I'm just background noise you're not paying attention to anyway. Um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right. But yeah, mostly I'm just trying to get these arms glued on. Yeah, I'm gonna do 3 more, and then I'm gonna end this so that I can do the heads next time and then finally prime them. So I'll probably glue the heads on tomorrow. So that I have done it all on screen. It's taking considerably longer than I thought it would, because I keep deciding to focus on what I'm saying instead of on the models. So I don't know I don't know for sure how I want to do this going forward. If I want to just have completely standalone assembly or painting videos where I'm just sort of chattering, maybe like streaming it or something, and trying to have more dedicated, like coherent videos, or if the rambling is fine. I don't know. I suppose just like with games, I'm not gonna make everybody happy. There's gonna be people that absolutely hate that that this was and that, that this wasn't like a scripted, easy to follow talk, and then other people that I don't know are probably a bit more like me and understand, just I don't know, thoughts come and go. Mm. I tried to rush it, and now I'm just getting plastic strings everywhere. So I'm going to leave it alone and hold it until it dries because anything worth doing is worth doing well, right? Okay. Nope. Still not enough time. So I will not be able to remember what I was talking about. So I'm gonna just start over with a new well, with the subject I've probably already mentioned. And in Lord of the Rings, fishing was under the category hobbies, and they scrapped ever adding other hobbies. And I saw some cool suggestions on the forums over the years, like when I would occasionally look, of different hobbies they could have added in, but never chose to. And one of them that I thought was kind of interesting was a chandlery, I don't know, candle making. Um, they had the idea that you could have apiaries at your player house, or you could find them out in the world or something, and gather honey. And because like honey was used for cooking, and you could gather beeswax and turn beeswax into candles, or maybe even like you know go out and find cotton and make wicks, and just and it's like um I don't know. It was kind of a cool idea, and I don't know what you would have done with the candles if they would have been like a resource. Like maybe there was like again, like they didn't elaborate this far. I'm just thinking out loud. Like how I probably I don't know. They could be a resource where like you could have I don't know a lantern wearable on a character like a flashlight in a lot of games that, for no reason whatsoever, used up candles, right? So that you'd have a reason to make them. But I think more likely, you would probably just have them as decorative housing items. So they could be like different designs or patterns or colors. I don't know. That's kind of a cool idea. I don't remember some of the other things they suggested. I think some of them would have trampled on the cooking profession a little bit. Like, mm, I think flower arranging was suggested, but the scholar profession had the ability to grow flowers for pigments for different clothing dyes in that game. And you could make little flower arrangements with some of the flowers to give you something to do with them because I think they were just vendor fodder at first. So I don't know if those things excuse me. I don't know if these things made it into the game by request or by like trying to solve a design problem. You know, especially like live service games. they end up just gathering so many small additions over the years that let me mute this really quick. I manually muted it because I can't figure out where I've put my mouse on the table to oh, there it is. Okay. Um hopefully my mic is still working now. Hi. All right. Um they add so many systems in over time that they get so complicated, and like a lot of people, even returning or veteran players, can't even help new players because they can't remember when stuff was added or how stuff has changed. Like especially like if you're a returning player, like somebody can ask you how something works and you can explain how it worked at one point and not know if you're not know if you're being helpful or not, or if you're talking about something kind of outdated. All right, it seems I am currently reaching the limits of my voice. So I'm going to, as much as I wanted to glue on this last arm, I'm probably going to stop after I get this one. If you are a person who hasn't spent a lot of time speaking continuously, like I honestly don't understand how streamers are able to do it. Some of them can talk for hours. Like it is just crazy. But yeah, if you're not a person that spent much time talking continuously, it is a skill that you have to work up to because your voice just will fail you if you talk continuously for too long if you're not accustomed to it. Um, like I don't know and understand how they do it. I suppose it takes years for the ones that like end up streaming for like hours to be able to work up to the ability to do it. But yeah, I one of the reasons that I end up drinking in my videos as much as I would like to not, or at least cut it out, but I try not to edit these very much. That's why there's a lot of things in here that I would edit out if that were the format I was going for, especially any fourth wall breaking where I'm like talking about the fact that I'm making a video instead of just talking. But yeah. Um, the big reason that I end up drinking is because I will start losing my voice when I talk continuously for too long, and start getting like a cough. When I when I was first um, making these, I had a cough because I was getting over being sick. But even like today, when I'm not sick, I start losing my voice after talking for like a while. Um, I'm just gonna get this arm glued. It's just it's something you have to kind of train your voice for. Uh I don't know how long this will end up being once I combine the parts of it, but I think I've been talking for like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes or something, pretty continuously. So that's currently my limits, and that's something I'm trying to work up to when I end up trying streaming again, being able to talk for more than an hour without losing my voice. Okay. Well, I I can't remember if I finished my subject because I started coughing. So I've got his arm on. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Um, so off screen, I'm gonna glue one more arm on, and this little guy with like the bag of heads, I'm gonna fix his hand. That's all I'm gonna try to do. So probably tomorrow or Monday, I'm going to be gluing the faces on the video, and then finally we'll have them assembled and start painting them, which was which was what I hoped to do anyway. So I apologize for this the conversation being all over the place. Anything at all you would like to add or respond, I'll be happy to read it. Um, yeah, I will, I will try, next time, probably with, like, my poxwalkers or something, to, have a better, more structured idea of what I wanna talk about during it if I end up doing, like, a longer one like this. I don't know, I just decided to, go ahead and record today instead of doing it off screen. I I know this format isn't ideal, so I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what works for me. Yeah. Um, if you've made it this far, like you're probably like doing something better and just have it on as noise. But thanks for thanks for sticking it out, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.